thanks for stopping by the channel. Hope you're having a great day. So today I'm blessed to still have electricity and water and heating and cooling, but I have a lot of family that were impacted by Hurricane Helene that came through, and they don't have all of those things. And so I thought it would be a good time to pick up back on our series of emergency preparedness. I've done several videos about preparing my Jeep for the outdoors, but sometimes you don't get to choose when you go into the outdoors. The outdoors comes to you, just like we just experienced with this hurricane. So the irony is that if you're watching this, you're probably a person who is inclined to be prepared. So please share this information in this video with friends and family to help them get to your level of preparedness as well. It's also fall. It's starting to be that hurricane season, and so please make sure to pick up some of your coasty swag for the fall. Like we have some great sweatshirts. All right, so let me turn this camera around and show you some of the items and talk through why they're important. All right, so starting at the top, because it is the most important, if you are in a position where you're struggling for clean water, that'll be your first priority. You can survive quite a while without food, but not as long without water. So the rule is 3, 3, and 3. 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air. So definitely, if you haven't seen my video on the life straw, please take a look at that. This is a fantastic way to have an emergency source of filtration for water. You just stick your mouth right there and put this end in the water. It's helpful to get it as less or least contaminated as possible to begin with, but this is a great option. You can also use other items like this Grail press. Each filter is good for 300. Just make sure to undo the top when you press it down. If you saw my video, don't do what I did and leave it on, and I just looked like a fool. So make sure to undo that top if you use the Grail. But this is another great option as well. And then after that, a source of fire. So my parents lost power in this last storm, and they were able to use a lighter to start their gas stove. They didn't have electricity, so they had a different option. This also can be used to make a fire to boil water. And like I said, this may not be for you. If you're prepared and you have all these items, you might be good to go. But other people in your community, in your direct vicinity, might need your help. And so that's where items like first aid come in. If you're able to go to them, stabilize that situation, it's important to help your community and yourself as well. And then that'll give emergency services time to help get you, the aid that you need. Speaking of which, there's a lot that is possible with our smartphones these days. If you have your smartphone, you have so many more options than if you don't. So one thing my parents are facing right now, as I'm making this video with Helene having just come through, they're out of electricity. But one thing that you get after a storm is usually a lot of sunshine. And so I would recommend taking advantage of that with a solar powered battery bank. I've made a video on this Blaver specifically. I have several others. I just keep them on my windowsill at home normally, but after a storm, I would put them right out in that direct sunlight. It'll show you how much it's charging. Right now it is charging even with just some ambient light through the window. And then you have an option to charge your cell phone. This one even has like a touchless charging option, so you don't need a cord. But another option to get electricity is using your car. So that's what my parents are doing right now as well. Before we get into the tools, I'm just combining them into one item here for the top 5. This deck of cards, it symbolizes morale. So it's really important to keep your morale up in any sort of survival situation, which you're one step closer to in a post natural disaster like Helene coming through. And so it's important, especially if you have kids or family, friends, even be able to hand out a deck of cards to somebody and maybe teach them a game really quick. But play is so helpful for a survival situation, for your morale, for your mental well-being. And so it can be a time that, you know, some people look back fondly on emergency situations because it bonds people together and it shows, you know, some of our innate human nature to help each other. So morale is really important. Other games as well are nice, like, you know, dice cup or something like that. But I like cards because they're, you know, really easy to just store and keep around. Now, getting into the tools, you know, if you're using your source of fire as a means to, you know, make water, you're going to need some way to process kindling. And so, if I had one tool, would have a hatchet. It can be used as a hammer if it has a flat enough back on it, but it's also a great way to, not only to process firewood, but to help others. If there's been, you know, structural damage to their house, then you can go and perhaps help get them out of a dangerous situation. And just very versatile of a tool, and it's easily stored as well. You can get a cover for it to you know, keep it a little safer, but definitely have a hatchet or some other tool that you're familiar with to be able to render assistance, you know, to those around you. That being said, I worked with a staff sergeant one time who had a story of, you know, he had scarred hands, and it's because when he was deployed, he had to, you know, grab somebody out of a burning car after an IED strike, and he always carried a seatbelt cutter after that because his hands, you know, got so burned. And that story stuck with me. So I would also recommend having a seatbelt cutter, you know, knife combination. Knives are just always good. You know, if you know me, I've had so many videos on different knives. But a seatbelt cutter specifically in this situation to help people get out of their cars that might have been stuck because of, you know, water, and now their seatbelt won't work. It's a very scary situation to be trapped in your car. So rendering aid that way would be a fantastic way to help your community. If I could sneak one more in there, you'll notice that I have this all on a bandana. I have videos about bandanas and some of their uses. They are so versatile and a great way, you know, to render aid to yourself and others. Just infinite uses for a bandana. So I'm going to sneak that in as your sixth one. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel. I hope you have a great day. I hope, you know, you and your family are safe after Helene came through here. I know about 30% of you are subscribed. If you could subscribe, it would mean a lot, and it's a great way to help support the channel. Again, I hope you all stay safe out there, and thanks so much. Semper Paratus and Coast to Chris out.